probably one of the guests that I've been looking most forward to meet. I don't play favorites, but I've been excited to meet her. We have Courtney Long here with us. And Courtney, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So we know that you have given a TED Talk about money and pleasure and kind of this unlikely connection that exists there. And it's like doing crazy with views of how many people have seen this video. Clearly that people are wanting this information. Can you share a little bit about who you are and how that talk came about?
Yes, absolutely. First, I'm so happy to be here and to connect with both of you. So thank you for having me. I moved to Arizona 20 years ago from Michigan. And at that time, I was eager, just thinking, I'm moving with my boyfriend, starting a whole new life. And I was working as a social worker, and I soon found myself just feeling really unhappy, just like overworked, underpaid, and unhappy in my relationship. And I just felt like something was missing, but I never would have guessed what was actually missing.
Okay.
So fast forward to today, 20 years later, I'm now a sexuality educator and coach and author. And I love helping people light their sexual fire and feel turned on for life.
Wow.
And like you said, I recently gave a TEDx talk in Ireland, Tralee, Ireland, which was such an adventure in and of itself.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way,
Thank
just
you.
on being able to do that.
Thank you.
Now, so I'm curious, how does one go from being a social worker to a sexual educator? Like, how does that transition happen?
Oh my gosh, many steps along the way. That's for
It wasn't
sure.
just one big one.
No, it wasn't just one big
Yeah.
one. Yeah. I mean, I became a life coach and then also a certified hypnotherapist and a teacher and started my own business. And I really, at the same time as I was basically teaching people how to be happy, behind the scenes, I was having this whole experience of, I won't share details, it's very, maybe not appropriate for on air.
Yeah.
But basically, I was discovering how important our sexuality is.
Right.
And that it's not just about what happens in the bedroom, but that our afterglow extends into our everyday lives. And there's a bunch of science that backs this up. There's one study from Florida State University where they call it the afterglow effect. They found that after sexual activity, that for 48 hours after, we have elevated levels of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter, and oxytocin, the love hormone. And so basically, we feel amazing for 48 hours after.
Okay. So can I ask I'm trying to think how to ask this question.
Sure.
Like, is all sex equal? Like, right? Because there's some really weird situations you could find yourself in, or you could be having sex with a partner that you don't care about. Will it still provide that benefit? Like you should just do it all the time and it doesn't matter?
Right. That is such a good question. In my world, there's different levels of quality of sexual experiences. For the studies that the researchers have done, they haven't measured, was this a really good quality sexual experience? Were you in love with this person or not? I mean, some studies go into that.
Okay.
So they're more looking at the quantitative as opposed to the qualitative.
Exactly.
Really, it's like, yes, you had sex, okay.
That's it, yes. Although this one study I mentioned was for newlywed couples, so I'm assuming they were passionately in love, in that honeymoon phase.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, bring in the money angle a little bit, because I mean, there's those jokes, right, that you see all the time on television shows that are like cop shows or crime dramas, and they're like, usually it's murders from like sex or money, and it's like those are two such powerful drivers in their own right.
Yes.
What is the connection there that you explore?
Yeah, so I had sensed there was some kind of connection, because the more that I was exploring this in my own personal life, I was showing up with more confidence and more creativity, more passion, and I felt that I was attracting more opportunities. I was so much more confident. I was getting more speaking opportunities and putting myself out there in the world more.
Yeah.
And so I felt there's got to be something to this. And then when I dove into the research, I found that actually sexual activity increases our happiness, our health, confidence, creativity, and even our productivity at work. And then when we're thriving in all of those areas, making more money often follows naturally, like maybe having the confidence to ask for a raise or start our own business. And I even found a study, this is so cool, a study that they surveyed 7,500 people and found that the more sexually active someone is, the higher their wages, that they actually made more money. And the researchers know it's not that, sex directly causes, like, oh, have sex, you're going to make more money. But the researchers thought it's because of the well-being effect, that sex improves our health and, like I was saying, our confidence, our happiness. And then we have that glow, that afterglow, which we bring to our work. And it's kind of like channeling our passion into our creative projects or our work projects.
Right.
Yeah.
So the people that you coach and educate now for this, and I'm not asking you to give away all your like secrets or anything, but like, what are some of the basic things that you would kind of encourage people to do to start even becoming aware of how to be kind of conscious of this in their lives?
Yeah, the very first thing is literally making time for it. Because I feel like our society views lovemaking as a luxury, right? Kind of like, oh, if you have time.
Yeah.
And because there's been so much shame around it, and we're just a society that values productivity, not pleasure. And combined that with the shame, and people are so busy, so many people wait until they're exhausted, like right before bed. Like, oh, honey, you wanna get it on now? And you know, the partner's like, roll over. Yeah, exactly.
I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So this is what I recommend. I'm gonna get out my fancy calendar.
Ooh.
Is I recommend that we schedule pleasure dates.
Okay.
That it's so important that we actually schedule time for lovemaking into our calendar. And I share this in my TEDx talk, that pleasure dates can be done with or without a partner.
Okay.
Right? So no partner required. It's fun both ways. So this is what it looks like, is getting out our calendar and just scheduling in time. So I'm going to do a heart to symbolize. Maybe we say, okay, we're going to have a pleasure date Tuesday evenings.
Tuesdays just got exciting. Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people will say, well, doesn't that make it less fun? Because, sex is supposed to be spontaneous.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I could see where people would, because my husband said that to me before, because I was like, let's try sexy Sundays,
Ooh,
and he was like,
that.
that's not very spontaneous.
Oh my gosh. One, this is what I say. It's like vacation. We always have to schedule a vacation,
That's
right?
true.
And
Yeah.
Is it any less fun because we schedule it?
Yeah.
Right? No, it gives us something to look forward to. So same with our pleasure dates, and you can still be spontaneous. It's just you have some scheduled,
Right.
and some can be spontaneous. So maybe, let's say, a Tuesday evening, and how about a Saturday morning when you're full of energy
Whoa.
before the end of the day, right?
Saturday morning.
Could you imagine that? So Saturday morning. And it doesn't have to be the same every week.
Yeah.
But you get the idea, is literally making time for it, prioritizing pleasure.
Yeah.
And if someone says, I don't have time for this, then I say, okay, what else can you get rid of on your calendar? Any obligations or anything you could delegate to others?
Yeah.
Because this is so important. It'll
Yeah.
give you more energy to do everything you have to do.
I really fully believe this, because that's something that when I was recovering from burnout, one of the things I started doing was I started scheduling my meditation time, my yoga
Nice.
time, like on my calendar. Like I would,
Wow.
block it out on my calendar, because then it felt like, well, this is as equal importance as any other meeting or any other commitment that I have in the day,
Yes.
that I'm going to show up for
Well,
this.
because your bodies have to recharge.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just deplete. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like if you have an e-car and the battery's dead,
Yeah.
you're going nowhere.
But I love this conversation too, because so much research and talk has been done lately. I'm sure it has for a long time, but it's kind of just coming into my consciousness about the importance of play. And that's the same thing, right, with pleasure. It's like, you have to have these well-rounded experiences in your life, and so many people don't take that time.
Well, and what I also love is the fact that it's like, okay, you have a heart, so that doesn't necessarily mean you know exactly what's going to happen. It might be a date night where maybe you go to the museum. So, I mean, it doesn't have to always be the same, and it shouldn't always be the same thing.
I would hope not.
So, exactly.
Yeah,
So there's some variation. Maybe it's like, well, there's this really cool show. Let's go see that. Because, again, it's like just that gentle caress.
Right.
That, like, bonding over, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? And that conversation, that can be quite tittillating.
That's probably not the 48-hour of afterglow effect, though, is it?
Well, right.
But it could lead to it.
But that's exactly
It's
it.
foreplay.
It's foreplay. And
Oh,
then if you think
completely.
of it as just think of your whole day, think of everything as foreplay. Taking out the trash, asking your loved one or your partner, just saying like, what does your day look like today? What are you excited about today? That's all part of foreplay. So it's kind of like all day foreplay, including the museum outing, date night, right? Absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, if we take the pressure off too, because a lot of people feel this performance pressure of, okay, well now we've scheduled the time. Now it has to look a certain way. And
so let me take a pill at this time so that way I can be ready for that scheduled time.
Well, I was going to ask about that. Like, I'm trying to think how to form this. Like, it's almost like a mood thing, right? Like, okay, I've got it on the calendar, but what if I'm having a really bad day? Like,
yes, that's a great question, because you might not feel like it.
Right.
So what I would recommend is do a few things to see if you can feel like it, if you can get in the mood, and if you don't, that's okay. It's okay. It's like at least it's scheduled and you can then reschedule it if needed. But stress lowers our libido, and we're all incredibly stressed like all the time, right?
Yes.
And so this is my number one technique for getting in the mood. It's so simple, but it's literally to relax. To take 15 to 20 minutes before you attempt any kind of lovemaking, just chill out, lay down, even on the couch and cuddle with a blanket, read a book, maybe do a meditation, go for a walk, whatever's going to help you relax and de-stress.
Yeah.
And then normally what happens is our own natural turn on arises when we relax, because we got to get into that parasympathetic nervous system mode.
That makes sense.
Right? Yeah. And who would
totally
think of
makes
that?
sense.
I mean, normally people will get stressed like, oh my gosh, I have to perform. And it's like, no, just chill out.
Yeah. Well, I'll say, this is something that I've been open about in the past, and I actually wrote a blog about it with my husband's blessing, but I went through a lot of trauma, sexual trauma, and so I had to meet with a therapist and work through a lot of things to kind of even get to the place where I felt safe or comfortable, doing this kind of activity. And I will say, it does change and empower you when you kind of develop that connection with your own body. So even I'm kind of returning back to like that idea of like, you don't even have to have a partner, like just taking that time to connect with yourself in that way also yields this really powerful response, I feel like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so sorry that you experienced it. It's absolutely not okay. Yeah. And I'm so glad that you
thank you
got help and feel
I know
empowered.
I'm not alone. Sadly, it's a high statistic of people that have been through things. And so that's kind of why I felt okay talking about it, because I wanted other people to feel not ashamed or not like, something that they don't have to hide it. And
yes, absolutely. And just like you said, even connecting with our own body through self-pleasure, it's so empowering and also de-stressing. And we all have a right to pleasure, and we're meant to feel really good. And I think that is one of the most important points of all of this, is that we're meant to be happy, to feel good. We're not just machines or AI working all the time, right?
Yeah.
We have the ability to feel pleasure, and when we allow that, it kind of creates this feeling of openness and expansiveness, where we then greet the day with more joy. We greet each other with more joy and more openness and love, and it's just really profound.
Well, this has been enlightening, I feel like, for me.
Well, and also the fact that it's like you can do this by yourself. So, because you might not have someone who you trust to be in that situation.
That's true.
Or that you want in that situation. So, take matters into your own hands.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
no pun intended.
No pun intended, exactly. So, yeah.
Or pun intended. I mean, that would be a pretty great place to make that pun.
Either way, it's all good.
Yeah. So I'm curious, Courtney, you have a little yes. What
little gift. So this holiday, instead of searching for the perfect gadget, for the perfect gift for your loved one, this is the best gift you can give yourself or your loved one.
Ooh, well, there you go.
You ready?
I'm wondering if there's batteries in it.
Good guess.
It is not a vibrator. It's a light switch. Okay, what about?
I was saying, what's up with the light switch? I mean, I have those throughout my house.
That's right. Okay, so if you flip it on,
Sorry, okay.
It's just a metaphor for our inner technology. We're always looking outside of ourselves for all the answers on, how do we be happy and healthy and wealthy? And the answer is inside of us in what I call our inner technology, which another way to say it, it's our sexual fire. And this, when we turn it on, it increases our happiness and health and confidence and creativity and even our money flow. So instead of searching endlessly for the perfect gift or for all the answers on how to be happy, healthy, wealthy, look inside and start lighting your own sexual fire, again, whether by yourself or with a partner.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Courtney, I love your message. I love what you're educating people to understand.
Oh, thank
I
you.
love the pink. I love everything. This has been
You haven't
so
said
great.
anything
What,
about
her
the shoes.
Because I was fangirling about them for like 10 minutes before the show. Look at these gorgeous shoes. They're stunning. She has
Thank
them in
you.
like blue and turquoise.
Yes, blue
too.
and turquoise too. Yes.
Ah.
So before you go, though, I want you to let folks know if they want to work
Sure.
with you or learn more about what you're doing, how do they connect with you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. It's CourtneyFaeLong.com/TEDx. And there you'll find my TEDx talk, which is so much fun. I adore it. I hope you love it. And then also there's a free gift for you too. It's called the Pleasure Date Experience. So if you make time on your calendar for your pleasure dates, but then you're like, okay, well, what do I do? How do I make this more beneficial than just my regular routine? Then I've got 4 different pleasure dates for you, whether you want some stress relief, maybe you're craving some more energy because you're tired, or you're craving some more love and connection, or you want to choose your own adventure.
Oh, fun. Well, friends, light that fire. Who doesn't love a free gift, too? And we are so grateful that you were here with us this morning, Courtney. We'll be right back after this break with another guest and some things to do and things to celebrate.
Indeed, all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.